This video is about illusion, the kind that has become part of everyday life. Illusion as a system of images, messages, and expectations that influence how we think about success, happiness, and the shape a normal life should take. We're going to look at how digital platforms, marketing, and social pressure have created a version of reality that often feels more real than life itself, and how that version, when taken seriously, can distort the way people see themselves and others. A few months ago, the story of a woman from France was widely discussed. She believed she was in a relationship with Brad Pitt. The messages seemed real. The videos looked convincing. She sent him a large amount of money. She divorced her husband. She was preparing to move in with someone who did not exist. The person she was speaking to was a scammer using a deep fake. This story is not about celebrity obsession. It's about how easily people can be drawn into a version of reality that is entirely constructed, and how that version can have real consequences. In this case, the illusion was created through technology, but in most situations the mechanism is simpler: images, emotions, and repeated messages. What makes this possible is the environment we live in, one where illusion is not an exception, but a constant background. Every day, we are surrounded by messages that promise transformation. Some of them are direct. Build your dream life. You can be anyone. Leave your comfort zone. Others are just images. People in perfect homes, with perfect bodies, standing in perfect light. This creates pressure, even if it's not always obvious. It tells us that the way we're living isn't enough, that our routines, responsibilities, and limits are things to escape from, that there is always a better version of ourselves waiting somewhere else. This pressure is not just coming from influencers or advertisers. It's built into the structure of the digital environment. Most people don't need to be told they're behind. They already feel it. The everyday life of most people includes work, bills, care responsibilities, and fatigue. But none of this is visible in the dominant imagery of success. The result is a gap between what we see and what we live. This gap is often filled with fantasies. Sometimes they're harmless. Sometimes they become dangerous. People start investing time, money, and emotional energy into an image, a lifestyle that isn't real, and often isn't even possible. Philosopher Guy Debord described this as the society of the spectacle. In this society, what matters is not what something is, but how it looks. Reality becomes secondary to performance. Experience is replaced by presentation. In this environment, our goals are shaped less by what we need and more by what is shown to us. We are encouraged to become brands, to perform identity, to turn our lives into content. South Korean philosopher Byung-Chul Han writes about this too. He describes a world where people are taught that they can do anything, that limits are a personal failure, and success is only a matter of mindset. This belief is widespread, but it is also detached from reality. Most people live with limits: time, money, health, attention. These are not problems to be solved. They are part of life. But when the culture tells us that limits are excuses, people begin to experience their own reality as a personal defeat. This leads to chronic dissatisfaction. It also opens the door to manipulation. When someone is convinced that they are not enough, they are more likely to buy, to follow, to obey. This is not a problem of individual weakness. It's a systemic design. The constant exposure to idealized lives, fast success stories, and dramatic transformations shapes how people think, not only about others, but about themselves. This is where the meme "expectation versus reality" comes from. It's not just a joke, it's a coping mechanism. The gap between image and experience becomes a kind of background noise, something we're aware of, but not equipped to deal with. Over time, people start to internalize the spectacle. They measure their lives by what they see online. And since real life is rarely filtered, edited, or optimized for engagement, it starts to feel wrong, even when nothing is actually wrong. Some influencers have admitted that the images they post are staged. The vacations were sponsored, the homes were rented, the joy was acted. But the damage is already done. Viewers believe the image, not the disclaimer. None of this means that life is hopeless or that digital tools are evil. But it does mean we need to take a clearer look at the conditions we live in. It's important to notice when we are being sold an illusion, when aspiration becomes pressure, when presentation starts replacing experience. And it's important to protect the value of ordinary life, of time spent offline, of routines, of unshared moments. The solution isn't to withdraw from the world, it's to stay awake inside it. Thanks for watching.